Don't mind that. Guys, welcome back, and this is what my government is doing to me.
We're here, according to the notice of hearing, to consider a request to revoke the administration order, and that order applies, or the person concerned is Nicholas Devine.
That's me.
And that's the correct pronunciation, is it?
Hmm?
Is that the correct way to pronounce your name? Devine?
Yep.
Thank you. For our records, this is file
Just clear those
2012
notifications.
SC 9116625.
Correct.
We do tape the hearing, so a record of what's said can be kept. I'm to be referred to as tribunal member.
Your Honour.
And I'd like those attending to introduce themselves, please. Your name, sir, for the record?
For the record, people at the South Australia Corrupt Administrative Tribunal ask for people to reintroduce themselves, for the record.
The suffering, Nicholas Theodorus Devine.
Thank you.
The middle name on file is pronounced incorrectly. However, I got that changed, I believe. I don't know when though. And this is Joanne Ward from Leader of Disability Services of South Australia.
I was interrupted rudely there by the tribunal member. I was trying to introduce Joanne Ward, which is a support worker of mine for Leader in Disability Services of South Australia. The tribunal member rudely interrupted and stated, quote, "I'd like Joanne to introduce herself."
Joanne Ward. I work for Leader in Disability for Nick, Ms. Jarrett.
Is it Joanne Wood?
Yeah. But I'm not getting involved in this.
Okay, so I didn't catch where you're from.
Lutheran?
Lutheran. And you're here as a support.
Support worker.
Support worker.
Alright.
And were you expecting anyone else to be attending? There's reference
Yeah,
to
by
your mum's phone number.
So my mother,
Behind
yes.
the loud footsteps. Here we go.
See if I can find the phone number. So that would be Carol,
Yep.
is that right?
She may not answer as she may be driving. Man, it's loud. Come on.
Hello, this is the South Australian Civil and Administrative Tribunal ringing you about Nicholas's application for revocation of his administration order.
You're speaking to my sister.
Just give me a sec, Mum. This is about this review. Can you just give us a sec, please, Mum? Just need to pull over.
Okay. And I am also a touring public trustee, I think.
She doesn't answer, then that's fine. My evidence is in this document here.
Sounds like this is her.
No medical health application. You can blame the neurology department for that one.
Just, let's see if I can find
The neurology department of the neuropsychiatry department, beg your pardon, from the Royal Adelaide Hospital is to blame for not providing an updated neurologist report. Neuropsychiatrist report, sorry.
public trustee direct number.
A226 2091. That's Evangeline's number.
8226201.
last time Tribunal rang, by the way. They didn't want my mother's input, even though I wanted her input.
So that number is busy. I may just try the general public trustee number.
There's a tribunal mark.
Yep. Mum's finding a place to park.
It is looking for the public trustee number.
That's right, I'm trying to ring someone else, so take your time.
No, she's trying to ring someone else. What she said. Hello?
Yes?
Yes, I have just pulled over.
Hello, I was trying to get hold of Evangeline. Thank you. Sorry, I'm also ringing someone from Public Trustee. So just while I wait for that, bear with me. I've got two phones going at the same time.
I'm going to show a bit of sympathy.
For an older person working in a tribunal, you got to show a bit of sympathy for them. Because of their age, they do find it a little bit hard to process two things in one shot.
I'm ringing from the South Australian Civil and Administrative Tribunal. I'm currently considering an application for the revocation of an administration order for Mr Nicholas Devine. It is important that you ring me back. I'm asking Evangeline Nathan to ring me back. The direct line is 742-47128, 742-47128. It is 2:30. If you could ring in the next 15 to 20 minutes, that would be appreciated. This matter was adjourned at the last hearing because of a failure to connect through to public trustee. So this is an important call. Thank you. And I'm sorry to keep you on the other phone while I was trying to get in touch with public trustee. Can you introduce yourself on the other line?
My name is Caroline Devine. I'm Nicholas's mum.
Thank you. And I do have Nicholas here in the hearing room, and he's accompanied by his support worker, Joanne Ward.
Okay.
And you pulled over, I understand, so you're able
Yes,
to...
I have.
Thank you. This is your application, Mr Devine, for revocation of your current administration order. You have provided an application to the tribunal, and this order has been in place for some time.
6 years to be exact.
Right. And I have some information before me.
Here comes the discriminating bit.
And I'm going to run through that information so that you know what I have. I have a medical report, and that is from Dr. Alexander Daniel.
Though Mr. Daniels does not discriminate, he just files an opinion based on what he's seen in a few reports.
Dated the 6th of February 2008. I have...
2008? Question mark?
Sorry, 2018. I have a report from Dr. Jules Begg dated the 9th of February 2017.
He is unable to help me in this endeavour.
I have a copy of a neuropsychological report from the 11th of February 2014. That is from David Smith.
That report is a bit botched because he screwed it
we'll
up.
come back to all of those, but I just need you to know what I've got before me.
Yeah, I've got
I have a letter to the Tribunal from Roseanne De Venuto, senior psychologist.
Roseanne De Venuto was the senior psychologist for Disability Services of South Australia.
With Disability SA, and I have a review form from Public Trustee, a review form from the Office of the Public Advocate, and a letter from the Public Advocate dated the 18th of September about your application for revocation. And there's another letter from Roseanne De Venuto, or another letter, an email, dated the 23rd of March 2018. So that's the primary information that I have. I am also mindful that there was an application for internal review of your orders, or the administration order, that went to Mr. Stevens, and he examined the medical evidence as it stood at that stage, and I have read his statement of reasons. So just so you know what I've got before me.
Yeah, I've got a note and a total portfolio.
So
to use against you.
It is your application today.
Yeah. Well, my note didn't work. At the end of this video, you'll find out why.
I'm allowed to present evidence.
That I have your application. In that application, it does say you certainly have concerns about the orders, and you refer to both orders because you are on both a guardianship and administration order, but the focus seems to have been on the management of your finances, and the letter that went out to you refers to your request to revoke the administration order. So that's what I was expecting we were going to be examining today.
Don't mind the motorcycle.
Does that fit with what you expected?
Yeah, I go one at a time. I file for an administration order revocation application first, and then I'll go in guardian.
Right, okay. So
however, my note does contain about both orders.
Well, just as long as we focus on the administration order, we're both on the same page, and it is your application. Just to remind you, in what the Guardianship and Administration Act says, which is the relevant piece of legislation, it says the tribunal can revoke the order.
Can doesn't mean they will. And as a matter of fact, they don't.
But going back to when the order was originally made, the tribunal can only make an administration order if satisfied of two main requirements. The first one is a finding of mental incapacity, and basically that is a finding that you are unable to manage your finances and legal affairs, and secondly that there is a need for the orders, that informal arrangements that might be in place are no longer sufficient. So I'm expecting, Mr. Devine, that you will focus on those two criteria of mental incapacity and need in your arguments to me today. But it is your application, so can you...
As the Civil Rights Act of 1917 states, I have a right to receive a recording transcript, and I did not receive one from Mr. Stevens, and I would like to receive one from this hearing today, whenever it gets printed out and mailed to me.
So you are entitled to transcript, but as a general rule, there is a charge for that. If you want audio of the hearing, you can apply to the Deputy Registrar for that.
I have no idea what the Deputy Registrar is. She didn't explain it.
And I appreciate there may have been some frustration on your part because this matter did come before the tribunal previously and it was adjourned because of the failure to get hold of public trustee, and unfortunately we're still not able to get hold of them, but I'm not adjourning again. So what are your primary arguments, Mr. Devine?
Can I have your name, please, ma'am?
I'm being referred to as
Your name, please, ma'am.
tribunal member.
The tribunal member failed to identify herself. However, during this video you will hear her name.
Fine, I'll just state, to whom this may concern, as you know, my name is Nicholas Theodorus Devine, the middle name was misspelt on file, but I'm giving a solemn truth by the Bible and nothing but the truth in this given letter. I understand independence very well, except while I'm on the administration order, Section 57 Administrations Act 2014, I find it very difficult to look after myself hygienically. Therefore, due to the aforementioned, I no longer wish to be a client on the SACAT's client list. I know too well that SACAT will lose it if they lose speed. They stop at nothing to keep their clients in the administration order. It's how they get paid. Speaking of pay, adding all my pays up, I'm still not paid enough regardless. It equals a very low $360 per fortnight. My shopping budget is 20 out of that per week. It is that strict. I have a phone bill, however, that I'm happily paying off. I also know for a fact that the whole state government and the South Australia Police of Unlawfulness are in contempt of court. Due to my shopping budget being $20 per week, once per about 3 to 4 weeks, I still cannot afford even toilet tissue every time I go shopping. I'm also very lucky if I can afford bread and milk, and due to all the aforementioned and above mentioned, I wish to be reinstated by the South Australia Public Trustee. The South Australia Public Trustee is no longer fit to manage my finances as a result due to the seriousness of my situation. Due to security reasons, I am informed by yourself that the...
When I say yourself, I'm referring to the tribunal member.
That every proceeding is recorded. Under the Civil Rights Act of 1917, I have a right to receive a copy of the recording transcript regardless of cost. It's common sense. I will also state that the South Australia Public Trustee says, and I quote, no, and then states, and I quote, you do not have financial capacity to afford this, to request for personal items such as clothes from Kmart, Target, etc. I don't tolerate this, and no one should, though I have had in the past 6 years only 2 requests approved for clothes, out of a total of 6. I will also advise that a guardianship order is specifically made to abuse the applicant's life completely. I am abused as a result, and here's why. Going to a police station, fined and imprisoned for 6 months? Really? Asking for permission to leave my own property to go see my beloved family? Seriously? That's rude. My guardian, Barbara Robertson, knows that if she loses me as a client, she gets paid $100 less by the government, and will freak out when she does. The list of things I cannot afford during my trips are as follows: personal hygiene, deodorant, toilet tissue, toothpaste and brushes, shampoo and conditioner, soap, healthy superfoods such as fruit and vegetables, bicycle, about $300 to $400 for one of those, my only form of transportation, learner's permit training at up to $70 depending on which school I go with. I'm a YouTuber, so studio equipment of around $620 depending on where I go. Computer upgrades around $700, but I can wait for those. I'm also interested in guitar, so $498 for a junior guitar kit. That I can afford out of my personal estates account. Too bad public trustee says no to that kind of thing. They get paid less if they lose me too. PlayStation VR headset, $398, that was approved. Computer service, if my computer needs a dust blowout or clean, $120. I rang MSY, no pricing yet, but yeah, I'll ring MSY. Some clothing about $40 to $60. Goals, I cannot complete them while I'm being controlled by an unjustified state government. SACAT is also responsible for 2 counts of breach of law, and they are as follows. Count 1 is dissolution and count 2 is unjustified breach of evidence fabrication.
Actually, make that 3. Discrimination.
Here's a warning and a promise. If my orders are not revoked today, or in the upcoming few weeks, this is going to the news media, Facebook and on YouTube. That's my argument, man.
So, trying to summarise for my benefit, is it your major argument that you're not getting enough money? For you?
Exactly, I want full control over my pension, and that's quite that.
So do you...
I was managing very well before I was put on the administration order.
So is the argument that public trustee is taking some of your money and therefore you're not getting all of your pension?
Yes.
Or is it that the pension is just not enough?
Public trustee is basically taking my pension, and I was informed by Mum if the orders cannot be revoked, they can be varied with a 6-month money management trial with status logs and receipt stapling or evidence gathering.
All right, well look, because your mum has pulled over and she was driving, and I'm assuming that Mrs. Devine, that you are wanting to have a contribution to this hearing. You're wanting to be part of this hearing, are you?
Yes, I am.
And I assume that you probably want to get back on the road, do you?
Well, as soon as possible, but however, this is one of the things that does need to be fixed. So I would prefer to do this.
All right, so what is your attitude to the current administration order for Nicholas?
I think in part it is lacking. He has developed very good home skills and learned how to cope with his money and learned how to start paying his own bills. I have seen it in action.
So can you give some examples?
Well, he gets a telephone bill and it's paid always by the due date.
In this case, I have a mobile phone bill for my Samsung Galaxy S7 through Telstra Australia. I'm happily paying that off. As a matter of fact, after this recording, I'm going to the post office.
He's never missed a beat with it. But he's had to sacrifice the money that he gets from being paid for his food for that actual bill.
I thought, Nicholas, you said you did have a debt on your phone, for your phone bill. Do you have some outstanding money due on your phone bill?
Yes, on the 22nd.
Sorry, Carolyn, I'm just asking Nicholas.
On the 22nd of September, I do have a bill to pay off, yes. I will have the money by tomorrow, although I have the money with me now.
So 22nd of September, you say there's a bill due, is that right?
Yes.
Is that a monthly bill?
Yes, postpaid.
Okay, so you do have that money, you say? And
I've got it with me right now.
And the phone bill is your responsibility?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you, Carolyn, so if you could keep going. There was the example of the phone bill.
Yes, and I've also seen where he's had scaled down in buying personal items. He's not bought any shampoo, conditioner or anything like that, shaving cream. It's all borrowed stuff. He's not been able to buy his clothes. I've had to buy them for him, and he can say that that's true because I have done it.
It's true.
Okay. So you're buying his clothes, and why do you think that is? Is that because he's not...
I don't believe that he's got enough money in his control so that he can take the time to look for the clothes that he wants.
And I'm assuming, Nicholas, you're on a disability support pension, is that right?
Yes, and it's an incorrect amount. According to what my mother's intel is, I'm supposed to be paid $1,249, but I'm not getting paid that. I'm instead getting paid $1,048.23, I believe. I don't know, you'll have to check with Evangeline.
Well, I do have the review report from Public Trustee. They indicate a pension of $1,042.40
Okay.
a fortnight.
Wow.
Okay, yeah, that sounds correct.
And that accommodation charges are $532. a fortnight. And
Sorry, I'm just...
well, this is for the benefit of Nicholas, so that you understand this, Nicholas, and that you get $100 a fortnight allowance, personal allowance. Does that sound right?
No, 360 in total, including my shopping.
Well, this is saying meals and groceries $160,
No,
and then $100
$80 per week.
for meals and groceries.
$80 a week.
Yep, so that adds up to 160 a fortnight,
Okay, I beg your pardon.
and a personal allowance of 100 a fortnight as well. So that would be 130
And once per fortnight, though, I receive only $80 personal allowance, as it's not
Yes,
indicated
I've
there.
seen that with the receipt.
Right, so this is from the 10th of April 2018.
I have a total portfolio stating that I can afford some things from my total portfolio right now. I know it's a financially manufactured misstatement. Public trustee is famous for those, but you know.
Yes, in 2010, public trustee were caught for a mass production of 10.4 million financially manufactured misstatements to all of their clients. They were in serious trouble for that by the ICAC, and the ICAC told them to do things differently by force. Train them a lot better and stuff like that. I'll see if I can download the report file and upload it. Wait a minute, I can't do that. Sorry, hang on. I think I might have to screen record the evidence as well.
Estimated $3,320.27. So that's perfect for a junior guitar kit. $498 at Harrison Music in Adelaide. I sent them a quote for that. Way back when, so to speak.
So just back to you, Carolyn, as his mother, do you think that Nicholas can manage his own finances?
Yes, I do. It's only now that he's realised that he's got a good understanding of what it takes to live on the outside of everything that he's been in with the administration.
Yeah. Basically, Mum's trying to, let them know that I don't spend my money that much anymore. I try to save it. I try to keep it for the things I need. As a matter of fact, getting flight controllers, which you will hear somewhere along the line of this video, is required, so therefore it is a need for flight controls to play, what is it? Shit. Okay. It's a need to play, oh yeah. Beg your pardon, excuse me, yawning. You need flight controls to play Digital Combat Simulator World, or DCS World, for instance.
Alright, well look, that seems to give me a clear position of where you're coming from. Do you remember I said to you, Nicholas, that there are these two main requirements that I need to look at, particularly the mental incapacity, because as I understand it, there was a request for an assessment.
Yeah. Here is the discriminating part of it. Because SACAT don't revoke their clients' administration orders, so they want them to continue. Here's how. They look at the evidence they have and ignore mine.
Yeah, I'm still trying to wait on that for some reason.
Lingual fill-in.
Lingual fill-in. The name of the tribunal member. Don't say I didn't warn you. And when you see this video on Facebook, You better run with your tail between your legs, because now you've put me on the brink of fucking suicidal thoughts.
Yes, I was trying to ring her. Yes, thank you.
Oh boy.
Hello. This is a tribunal member conducting a hearing in relation to Mr. Devine.
Hold on, mum.
Yes, I've been trying to ring you. I apologise for that. There was no indication that it was a video link-up. And I've rung your personal number, so that's why we've got mixed up there. Now, that's all right.
To receive broadcast.
So I can try and dial in, or else I can just put you on speakerphone. Yeah, that might be easy. All right. Okay. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
All right, thank you.
The bitch that manages my finances, Evangeline Nathan. You've also been caught in this voice recording. So, apart from my sister, my mother, my support worker, which didn't want anything to do with this, Joanne Ward, so I'm sorry you had to come along and, suffer all this brunt, but, this is what the government's doing to me.
We'll dispense with that distraction. Would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Hi, my name's Evangeline and I'm Nicholas Devine's personal estate officer from the public trustee.
She didn't state her surname. Evangeline Nathan.
Evangeline who?
And I have with me Mr. Devine. I also have his support worker, Joanne Ward, and on the other speakerphone I have his mother, Carolyn Devine. Mr. Devine has been putting his submissions, his basis for his application to revoke his administration order, and it appears that part of his argument is that he's not getting enough money. I've been trying to clarify with him if it's because there's not enough money in terms of the disability support pension for him to live on, or if it's that he's not getting his maximum entitlement from public trustee. We were going through the review form that you've sent in back in April, and was wondering if you would be able to clarify the figures for the benefit of Mr. Devine. So in your review form it states the pension entitlement is at $1,042.40. Is that the current income he receives?
That is correct. That's what he receives. That's a disability pension that he receives fortnightly.
I'm going to put this on pause and I'll be back as I'm going to pay my Telstra bill. Okay guys, I'm back.
And that $532 is spent a fortnight on accommodation?
Sorry, there's been an update in that. So his accommodation provider's been switched.
The update to my accommodation is around maybe $600 right now. I don't know. Depends on my utility bills when they come out once per fortnight.
Over to a different service provider. So now he pays $322 a fortnight to Julia by housing, but he also continues to
That's
pay
incorrect, Evangeline.
He also continues to pay $380 on additional to that to his old service provider for electricity and water and gas. So it sort of just pretty much works out the same. It's a little bit more expensive, but...
So he's
That's
now...
incorrect, Evangeline.
Sorry, I can't hear what Nick's saying.
So Nick's saying that's incorrect?
You gave me a document containing what my total accommodation cost is. My accommodation through Julia Farr is only $159 according to that document.
So it's $322 a fortnight. That's what we pay. And then we also
Question mark.
pay $318 to Amanda's Living Disability Services
I
for
kind of mixed
utilities.
up my accommodation.
Okay. That includes internet too. There is no gas, as my house does not contain any gas.
It's for whatever utilities that you use at your current accommodation.
Yeah.
And what is the personal allowance for Nick?
So Nick receives, $100 weekly for personal allowance, and then an extra $80 for meals and groceries weekly as well.
Incorrect. $80 once per fortnight, then $100 once per fortnight. I should know, Evangeline. I've been tracking how much you've been giving me. And you've also, yes.
Basically, Evangeline just lied about my personal allowance. Please don't buy the lighter, and of course the VADs in the background.
That's the $80 a week for groceries is correct.
So the $80 for groceries is correct, and what Angeline is saying is that you get $100 weekly for personal allowance. No.
That's correct. Sorry. So for
Next week,
he receives
if you give me a direct line,
on top of the $80 that he receives for his personal allowance, but on one week he receives $80, and on the odd week he receives $100.
there you go. That's what I was trying to clarify.
Okay. So
Well,
I basically forced her to correct herself.
clear up with her.
is there a personal allowance as well as the meals and groceries?
Yeah, so the $80 is for his meals and groceries weekly, and then then he receives $80 on 1 week for personal allowance, and then on the other odd week he'll receive $100 for personal allowance.
Okay. Does that sound right, Nicholas?
That's correct.
Yep. Okay. So we've got that figure. And as far as the cash balance, the current time?
So Nick's current cash balance is $1,034.71.
And he has referred to the fact that
Well, that comes to a conclusion to state that they've only been able to put $20 away for the past 6 years. Hence why there's only $1,000 there. $20 a fortnight away, or probably a week away, over the past 6 years. That's kind of stupid.
he has applied for money for clothes, and sometimes that's refused.
I could be wrong, you know. I get a $1,000 plus pension, $1,040 plus pension, $1,048.27 pension, given that to me by Centrelink. And my last and final trick in the book is to remove all pension from the public trustee's possession by means of shutting down my Centrelink account and by reopening it so that I get my pension once per fortnight.
That's incorrect. He's only recently just received, $400 for some gaming.
That's why I stated in the past 6 years, ma'am, that I have had
Just one at a
requests.
time, Nicholas. Sorry, Nicholas was talking over you then. So he's recently received $400 for gaming, did you say?
That's correct. And he's also sent me through 3 different requests on top of that after he received $400.
Again, don't mind the footsteps.
So one was for some sort of gaming control, another gaming sort of device, which was $200. And he's also sent me an email yesterday that he would like a racing gaming chair, which is $1,000. So I haven't received any requests for clothing. And then let me just bring up.
I think you mentioned there were 3 different
full racing
requests.
rig.
That's correct. There's 3 different requests that have come through. None of them are related to clothing. And this is after he's received $400 for a VR. So the last one was for a racing rig, which is $1,000. And then he wants
I asked her to
also
keep that on file.
to buy flight controls, like a digital combat simulator, and then the one previous to that. He also wants money for a passport, which is $298.95. Sorry, I'm just going through all his emails.
That's going to the post office, by the way.
And in this time, what sort of time frame are we?
According to my calculations, a passport is $298.95 with included passport-sized photos.
We're talking about for these requests?
So these are all within the last fortnight.
You also require at least 2 passport-sized photos for a companion card. That's why I requested $298.95 for that particular important piece of identity.
And I
Obviously,
know that in April the balance was $2,529. That was in April 2018 when the review form was sent through. So that indicates a decline in his savings of some $1,500.
That is correct.
Are you aware of what that was spent on?
Are you asking me? Or
Yes, I'm asking you.
Yes, I am aware of what that was spent on. That's just additional funds that have been going out to Nick, and then also the change in the service provider as well cost him a bit of money as well. So
Hence the word bond.
So in the last 5 months, can you just outline what extra funds have been going to Nicholas and what they're in response to, the requests?
Sure, so he's had extra funds for the Royal Adelaide Show. $60 went out to him for that. And then I'm just going through. And then it was a switch over to the new service provider, which cost him quite a bit of money as well, but we're still waiting on Amanda's to return his bond.
Really? Well, why haven't you received my bond back from Lutheran Disability Services, Evangeline? It's because you've done nothing. I have to do it.
So he might get some savings back.
Don't expect things. You got to rely on the client to do so. You got to ask the client to get the bond back associated with the living arrangements or bond.
Yeah, so he'll get some funds back from his bond that was sitting with them, so that's why his cash balance is a bit lower. He also purchased a luggage bag for $65, and then there was the $400 that went out for his VR that he wanted for his
Oh, good God, she's not
gaming, and then there was clothing, $150 that went out for clothing in July as well. I can send through a payments report if that would help you as well.
I'm taking oral evidence from you, so I think that might be helpful. Would it help you, Nicholas, to know a history in the last few months of what's come out of your savings, so you can look at that and reflect on what's been spent?
I have asked her to keep the emails I've sent her on file and not approve them as of yet.
For the recent ones?
Yes, for the recent ones I just sent.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, you know, approve of them when I have the money for them. Don't say no just yet. Don't send them to the approval board just yet. Wait until I have the money for them first. Then you send them to the fucking approval board, Evangeline.
I don't want them
I'm asking
asked
you,
towards...
would a summary of what has been spent on your finances in the last few months, would that help you to know where your money has gone? Because you seem to be angry with Public Trustee about not responding to your requests, and I think from what Angelina said, there have been a number of requests and you have been provided with those additional funds by Public Trustee, or at least some of them.
only 2 requests approved for clothes, including the ones you just mentioned. VR headset, yeah, I explained to you in the note that I read to you that that has been approved. I've got it.
All right. And as far as whether public trustee takes any money out of Nick's pension, can you outline that? That seemed to be of concern that he was losing some of his money.
No, so we don't take any money from his disability pension.
That's a lie. I pay a $500 a year bill to be in the administration, and it goes to public trustee.
I can't hear what he's saying, sorry.
Would you repeat that, please, Nick?
I don't believe that's correct, Evangeline. It costs $500 a year for me to be on the administration order, and that goes straight to public trustee.
So there are fees involved, but it's $500. That's not right.
That is correct. According to the law, it'll cost $500 a year for you to have an administration order against your name.
Well, that's correct, ma'am. It states.
I was referring to my portfolio for that figure. However, I was told by a former member of the tribunal, as this video will explain, that I was being issued with a $500 a year bill for finance management administration.
Financial and discrete assets. Bank
So
accounts
Nick
for
is
$1
saying it
out of
costs $500 for him to be with public trustee per year.
Non-financial discrete assets,
That's incorrect.
furniture and effects
Where
is
did you-
$500.
Where did you get those figures from? I'm not sure.
Do you
When I
want
first-
to show me that, Nicholas? Because you were just
When I,
waving a page.
When I first signed up to the
Thank you.
administration 6 years ago, that's how much
So
they told
are
me it
you
was going
saying
to cost
that
me.
it cost you $500 in 6 years? Or are you saying it cost you $500 the last year?
$500 per year over the past 6 years.
Okay, and where did you get those figures from then?
South Australia Civil and Administrative Tribunal. When I was in a meeting 6 years ago, they stated the cost for yourself being on the administration is $500 a year.
That's incorrect. That's not how.
That's not
And
correct.
I was told by a former member.
Yeah, a former member, in which I can't remember the name of now.
So, well, that was incorrect information if you were told, Nick. And you've shown me a copy of the portfolio valuation report from Public Trustee, which is dated the 2nd of August 2018, and you've
Pretty accurate.
referred to a figure of $500, but I'm looking at that under the heading non-financial discrete assets. So that's identifying a value that Public Trustee puts on the furniture and effects you have. And perhaps Joanne can assist you just to look across the line. So on one side it says furniture effects, and then the next figure says $500. So that's showing that it's a value of those goods to you, not a charge to Public Trustee. And it is my understanding, Evangeline, that when a person has less than $5,000 in their estate, that Public Trustee does not take any capital commission.
That's correct. It's only $5,000 or over that commission starts being charged. So.
Yeah. So I hope that might provide you with some comfort, Nick.
Provides me with some clarification and answers.
Right. And in terms of the medical evidence I have, well, perhaps, because I appreciate Evangeline.
All that evidence you have in front of you is literally 4 years old.
Right. So I'm just going to finish with you, Evangeline. In terms of your interaction with Nick, and I appreciate that he is quite articulate and able to express his views. He's able to use the computer, email you. Do you have any observations about his understanding of his finances in terms of his interaction with you?
Oh boy. Here we go.
The only thing I can sort of advise is that Nick is a bit impulsive.
Oh! Well, I'm glad I'm uploading this to Facebook to begin with. Impulsive. Really? That's mental health abuse. And of course, discrimination.
So he'll jump from one request to the other.
Yeah, and I always state on my request though to keep them on file.
She's fucking scared shitless she'll lose her job. I always state, quote, please keep this on file as I do not require these funds yet.
I think he thinks.
Although I do not put until these funds are available in my emails, or I do not want this money as of yet in my emails.
Thinks that he holds more money than he has with us, and he doesn't understand when he comes through with requests that are quite large. He thinks that
Yeah. I go by my total portfolio. I don't go by the bullshit that public trustee gives.
I'm saying no to him personally, whereas I'm just looking over his finances and being truthful to him that whether he can afford it or not. So, but he'll continue to send through large requests.
She's not truthful at all. She just fucking discriminated me. As a result.
So he can be quite impulsive in certain situations.
So
Nice excuse, not good enough for me.
apart
Me being the tough guy, and the stronger out of the two of them, sorry. I don't like those excuses, because they'll always find an excuse to keep me on the administration order.
from his gaming requests and clothes, which is, probably quite.
Apart from that, Nick doesn't very. That's all he can pretty much communicate to me about is. So, but the requests that do come in, they're quite pricey that he can't afford.
I do send in requests for personal items such as clothes and stuff like that, just in case if I need some new summer wears and stuff like that. There's the issue here. Sometimes I send in requests for personal items, and sometimes I send in requests to take a look at later. And Evangeline doesn't realise that at all. She doesn't realise the fact that I don't want this money right now. I want my money to build up first, and then you can send the money in. They still haven't sent me my money for my bike repair yet. That's about another 3 weeks away.
But besides that, there's not too much contact.
He did refer to a guitar, I think.
Junior guitar kit, $498 at Harrison Music.
So this is a
Declined.
guitar kit, is it?
Public trustee don't want me to learn.
Yep. I will state this, that's the solemn truth. Public trustee don't want to extend my learning curve. They don't want me to have something as good as a junior guitar kit to keep me going. To keep my learning going for guitar. It's something I've always wanted to learn myself because I think it's fun. It's therapeutic. And public trustee just deny it. They declined the first request for a junior guitar kit before. And that was when I had Marcus Graham as my finance administrations officer, or public trustee worker for short.
So this is in his email. It says here, I can actually read this out. Want to help my learning curve out a bit? Junior guitar kits at Harrison Music have a price of $498. I also advise that a full racing rig is just under $1,000, depending on if I go to JB Hi-Fi or Radio Rentals. So that's the last email that I got from him.
Okay, so there was two items, the $400 junior guitar kit and the racing rig. Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Nick, do you want to ask any questions of Evangeline?
No, I think I've had enough of her excuses.
I've had enough of Evangeline's excuses to keep me from learning, to keep me from expanding my gaming capabilities and stuff like that. Learning to use a steering wheel or a full racing rig is just as realistic as learning how to drive a car in real life. Evangeline does not want me to learn how to drive. I still haven't received any confirmation that Evangeline's contacted Hyper, helping young people achieve of Adelaide, just so she can get, a finance plan in place so that $10 will be sent directly to the company every time I go to the company to learn to drive for my hours.
All right, and how long have you been the estate officer in charge of Nick's finances, Evangeline?
So Nick was transferred to me in April. So it's been...
Wow, virtually no contact.
That's right.
All right, thanks very much.
I've had virtually no personal contact with Evangeline.
Thank you.
And Carolyn, just in terms of you as his mum, is there any questions you want to put to the estate officer from Public Trustee?
I'm just wondering if it's worth anything at all if he was given financial counselling.
Public Trustee claims that they can't financially counsel a person.
I'm so sorry, I didn't hear that.
She said, would it be of assistance if Nick was given some financial counselling?
There is in fact a bill involved with that.
I understand that whilst he makes those requests, that if they're denied, it's simple that he understands why they're being denied and not simply being told no.
I understand where you're coming from. It would obviously make things a lot easier if Nick understood why I was saying no. He can always give me a call and I can discuss with him why I say no.
That's not good enough.
That's not good enough. To say something like that is a cop-out.
Do you respond by email to his request?
I respond by
To say that is a cop-out. I said it would be best if Nick had a chance or even
Yes, well, I heard what you said, but that is not the role of the public
please.
trustees.
No, I just manage his finance. I'm not a financial counsellor, I'm a financial administrator.
But would it be
Oh boy.
within your brief to perhaps explain briefly in the email that because of the balance of his savings or whatever that...
Nick does get explained to this, but he gets gross angst, he gets aggressive, or he gets angry when we do try to explain. So
That's kind of discriminating. Right there.
I try to do my best and give him an explanation.
I'm going to interrupt and state she's trying to discriminate me right now.
Okay. All right. Well, look, thanks, Evangeline, for
I identify that almost immediately.
getting in touch with the tribunal. I'm sorry for the miscommunication, but I did get valuable information from you, so thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay.
Now, Nick, I am going to go through the medical evidence that I have before me. Remember,
Four-year-old excuse after excuse.
Well,
That evidence is 4 years old and it's being used against me. SACAT is now responsible for 3 breaches of law, and they are as follows: unjustified breach of evidence fabrication, what else? Yeah, dissolution and in an attempt to pervert the cause of justice, and discrimination.
That's what that evidence is, ma'am.
but you need to know what information I have, and this is the report from Dr. Alexander Daniel, dated the 6th of February 2018.
However, she explains to me, as I am autistic in the head, I can't read very well. I've got an autistic mind, but I was diagnosed when I was 4 years old with Tourette's, which is a cognitive growth disorder. It screws my learning up. But I am a quick learner when I, do get taught something.
And he says that the comments and opinions expressed in the form are based upon information provided to himself, but also by other specialists, including Dr. Jules Begg. And he says he is your GP. In the last 10 months up to the 6th of February 2018, he'd seen you some 5 times. He says you're usually accompanied by your support worker. He does think you have a medical, psychiatric or psychological condition affecting your brain or mind, that it's likely to be intellectual disability and mental health condition.
It is.
He notes that there have been a number of diagnoses suggested by previous GPs attending you and a psychologist. You have been labelled as potentially having a schizoaffective disorder, depression, autism, all of which the doctor thinks needs further psychiatric input, that it has been a condition since birth, that it's mild and fluctuating, that the condition impacts on your insight and impulse control. He refers to a report written by psychiatrist Dr. Jules Begg in February 2017. Says that from the report, the diagnoses are tentative and will need further evaluation. He is unsure whether you can make accommodation decisions, but Dr. Daniel thinks you can make non-complex and complex financial decisions.
Okay, question mark.
He does say that you have pressure of speech and are rather tangential in your speech, and he thinks you're capable of making a significant contribution to any hearing. But then the report of Dr. Begg, which he supposedly based his further report on, this is the GP, this report of Dr. Begg dated the 9th of February 2017, refers to the fact that you came to see him and you were wanting him to provide evidence to support your case that you not be subject to an administration order. He refers to your presentation. He thought you had found it difficult to stay on topic, tended to interrupt, there were signs of impulse disorder, and there were grandiose themes. He did think that your presentation was consistent with the autism spectrum disorder and that there were impulsivity features shown in the interview. You told him that you could manage your finances, but then qualified that statement by saying that it was to an extent and that you needed help to pay off your bills. Some aspects of your history were internally inconsistent.
That's what Mum means by financial counselling, by the way.
He goes on to say that as your mental state continues to show signs of impulsivity and poor organisation, the doctor believes they are consistent with the diagnosis of autism, differential diagnosis, intellectual disability and bipolar disorder. He goes on to say it does not appear that the mental state is consistent with the capacity to manage finances independently. He's therefore not able to support a request to have the administration order rescinded, which seems to be inconsistent with what the GP has said in his report, seeing the GP said he was basing his report on, in part, what the doctor had said. There is what Dr. Begg had said. There is a psychological report from 2014.
Yeah, 4-year-old report.
Yeah, and this is from David Smith, senior psychologist. I am mindful that it is 4.
That's a complete lie. He is a neuropsychiatrist. As Rindell will, Lindell. Yeah. Will address.
4 years old.
It's also some of that. The information in there is incorrect, such as how many siblings I have.
And I'm just reading a component from the summary and recommendations. He does note that you are, at that stage, you were developing reasonably well in your skills area compared with your peers. It was noted that you likely had a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder, which often presents as having intellectual disability.
I have chronic post-traumatic stress disorder now.
Right. And that you still have a long way to go to be able to live safely, independently in the community, as in the opinion of the psychologist, Mr. Smith, your adaptive skills have not developed to a safe level for independence. So
That's guardianship information.
And
That's practically abusing my ability to look after myself while being as independent as I am now. I may live in a Julia Fire house looked after by Lutheran Disability Services, but that doesn't mean I can't look after myself.
it's also talking about your independent living skills as far as money management is concerned. So there is some additional information from another psychologist, and this is Rosalind Di Venuto from Disability SA.
Rosalind Di Venuto.
And this is from March and also more recently. She refers to the trial set up by Mike Graham and Simone Freeman. So that's the senior social worker and your case manager for 2 years.
That trial wasn't good enough. I didn't receive the large sum of money I was after, which was half my pension. Chopped in half.
And this was in 2016 when there was a trial to reduce the frequency of payments to twice per week so that it could be determined whether you could manage larger sums and make them last until the next payment. And it was
That I've done
found-
extremely well over the past 2 years. Money goes into my Westpac account, comes back out.
Well, that trial was found to be a complete failure despite support and encouragement by those involved. And your social worker described you as an impulse spender, easily taken advantage of by others, with a history of getting into debt and hocking possessions at cash converters. You can
I had an old computer, an old desktop, all in one. It was very slow, so I had no choice but to sell it to somebody in cash converters, beg your pardon. Because, as a matter of fact, that computer was getting old, it was slowing down, and I was in desperate need of a new computer.
can formulate goals, but you are unable to see them through. So an example was given that you wanted to learn to drive, you wanted to take up Taekwondo, but then it was explained about running a car and the cost of that, and you got very frustrated.
Yeah, that was working against my intellect. Simone liked to do that. Simone Freeman, now a senior social worker at Disability SA for the disabled. So she works up in a higher role now. That's practically working against my intellect. She just also tried to discriminate me by saying those things.
And then that
Maybe because they've really abused my abilities.
and then there was anger. So what has been observed is that you're currently receiving 24 hours of funded support each week through Disability SA to assist with personal care and activities such as shopping, food preparation and household tasks.
I don't do all of that with a support worker. I wait until the support worker leaves and do it all myself. However, shopping, yeah, I have a support worker with me with that.
Never received that at all.
She goes on to say, to provide an idea of how intensive your case management is, we are on the 6th volume of client files and you were only deemed eligible in 2014. This is indicative of a person who requires a high level of support for most activities of daily living. She goes on to say, I hope this information is a useful supplement to the GP report. It's based on case notes, reports from DCA staff and public trustee. So,
DCA?
Disability Support Disability SA, that's what DSA stands for, Disability SA.
Yeah.
Okay.
You said DCA previously, but then again, you corrected yourself.
And the review report from Public Advocate, actually there was one more report, where was The other email contact is from Roseanne Divinuto, and she also refers to the fact that Disability SA will be closing and that the difficulty would be of providing that ongoing support.
I'm 3/4 transferred to the NDIS.
Right. The review form that I have from your guardian, this is a review form on the request.
Okay, a review report from my guardian. Let's hear it.
Request for a revocation of the administration order, and your delegated guardian is Barbara Robertson, and she has provided...
A manipulative guardian.
She's provided a review form dated the 1st of May 2018. She does think that the current administration order should continue. She says you seem to be constantly asking for new expensive technology at the expense of more basic items, that you have mathematical ability, but your judgment is poor about priorities. You do allow workers
That's what
to
she
assist.
thinks. She's manipulating me to keep the administration order in place. That's what that is. And my mother can tell you that.
She notes that you currently make your own decisions about your health care. You are very selective about how assistance is given. You are currently in a very good situation in Lutheran disability housing with support 7 days.
But I prefer
a week.
independence, living alone and have staff members from another company pop in and out.
And she has provided
What
an
I used to do.
updated email to say that she wasn't going to attend this hearing today.
That makes me a lot at ease. That makes me really more at ease, because I would, yell at her, basically. Call her
And
a
she does
manipulative puppy.
refer to that review form that I read out, but she says that she thinks, and this is her view from the 18th of September 2018, that you would be seriously at risk if your income was not managed for you. Past attempts to allow you to pay off certain bills have not been successful.
She thinks I'm... That's a laughable excuse.
She goes on to say this office has not had any information which would change that view. There is evidence that Nick's support agency would find it difficult to comment freely on Nick's ability to manage his money because of concerns about destroying the support relationship. So
That is laughable. That is 100% laughable.
Okay.
all right, and I suppose bearing that in mind, do you have anything to add, Joanne?
Well, in the past...
So I was just going to ask the support worker whether she had anything to add.
I'm not making any comments, sorry.
All right, thank you. And Carolyn, you wanted to say something?
In the past 2 years, Barbara has not even made any contact with Nick, so how would she know?
Well, I've read out what she
Okay,
said.
now, you've got that all there. She's had no contact with him for the last 2 years, so I don't believe any of what she's put in as a statement for that. That's criteria to be looked at.
Okay, thank you for that. Anything more that you want to say to me, Nick?
Well, I was interrupting you while you were reading all of that out, but I would like to say this, while you're listening, without interrupting you. My apologies for that. My guardian is a manipulative puppy, so to speak. That's what she does to keep her clients in the administration order. If she loses a client, she loses it. Simple, plain and simple. She gets paid $100 less. She gets paid $3,500 minus $100. $3,400 if she loses me.
So where do you get that information from, Nicholas?
The internet.
Okay.
I do my research. This tribunal gets paid $3.5 million a month for their clients, because there probably are 100 workers in this building.
There are hundreds like Nicholas, and it's the word is spreading.
Right. Anything more, Nicholas, just about your application for revocation of the administration order?
I would feel and be a lot safer and be a lot more out there, fulfilling my dreams and goals if this did not continue. these orders did not continue at all. I would be able to go out, get my learners, progress to my Ps, finally be able to legally buy myself a car, look after it obviously. You know, I'd be able to go study and you know, go do what I've always wanted to continue doing, and that is a Cert 2 in automotive, working on motorcycle engines and lawnmower engines. I used to do that when I was 16 and a half. Sadly, the company was shut down. So I was left with half a certificate that they never gave me back. But I don't really mind. All I have to do is go with that knowledge to go study that course, come out a free man, happy to work on anyone's lawnmowers, probably open my own business indefinitely. I'm currently running 2 companies. One's my YouTube channel. The other is remote PC support for Windows, laptops, notebooks, and desktops. People just email me, really, and I just give them advice. That's all I do.
And do you charge for that expertise?
No. If a person wants a full clean-up of, you know, stuff like that on their computer, they must bring their computer to me. Hence what I mean by remote. Basically, I'm the only business that is private in my area, that is.
Well, look, there's a lot for me to think about, Nicholas, and I appreciate from your the comments you've made and your body language that it has been a stressful experience for you. I am going to give the evidence that I've heard from you, from your mum, and from what I've read out, serious consideration, and that requires me, Carolyn, I need you to listen, that requires me to think about things for a bit, and I'm going to let you know what my decision is. So I'm not going to ask you to wait while I do that. I'm going to give it the due consideration it needs. The order will set out what my findings are, and you will get an understanding of how I've reached my decision from that. Okay? So thanks very much for participating by phone as his mother, and thank you for your articulate submissions, Nicholas.
Mum, did you want to say anything else?
I just wanted to say that Nicholas diagnosed with the Rett, not diagnosed with autism.
Can I ask what that is, Mum?
It's called Tourette's.
Tourette's.
And look, you can have this conversation with Nicholas. From my point of view...
I could do that, but not all the time.
No. Thanks very much. Thank you. Goodbye. Thanks for taking my call. Goodbye. Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
You didn't want me to get involved. That's fine. That's fine.
It's because she doesn't know as much about all of this whole, you know, ordeal or building. That's why.
All right. Thank you.
She never gets informed of this stuff. FOI, broken, freedom of information. Yeah, the company never tells her anything about it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good day, man.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Alright, come on, let's go down there. Oh, I've got to go.
Basically proves to you that the South Australian Civil and Administrative Tribunal are responsible for 3 breaches of law, and they are as follows. Count 1 is 2 breaches of dissolution. I'm going to count in total 2 breaches of discrimination and 2 breaches of unjustified breach of evidence fabrication. So, Miss Finnan, if you see this video on Facebook, don't say I didn't warn you that this wouldn't be posted to YouTube, Facebook, and the news media. Thank you.